Hey guys, it's Jordan with B-Ray Survival and Preparedness. If you've been watching some of our shorts, you know we got like a new pick apart, build your own kit thing going. So what we're going to do today is I'm actually going to build a little Altoids 10 survival kit. Stick around till the end. You're going to want to hear the cool thing at the very end. So I've got the things I'm going to put into the tin here with me. And once we get it all in, if we got any more room, I may add a thing or two. We'll see. But each thing as I put it in, I'll kind of talk about why we put that in and, you know, the pros and cons and how some of these things are kind of multi-use. So we're just going to go ahead and get started here. So the first thing I've got is just a small tin. The reason they call these Altoids 10 survival kits is folks used to actually go buy a tin of Altoids, take the mints out and use the tin itself. Now we just use plain tins. But that's what our base is going to be. Now here at the store we've got different size starter bases for, you know, depending on what you're wanting to do. These are the most popular, but we do have some that are larger, depending on, like I said, what you want to do. So I always like to start off with this right here. This is just a piece of mirror tape. It is sticky on one side, and on the other side it's just a mirror. And it comes, I got a little piece here just to kind of show you. It comes with this outer little clear coating to kind of protect the mirror. And when I put it in the tin, I tend to leave that on. That way this stuff in there doesn't scratch the mirror all to pieces. But when I need it, I can pull that off. And what I've got is just a small mirror. And this is good for kind of a real rudimentary like signal mirror, or maybe if I cut or scratch my face and I need to see to do first aid, I've got a small mirror I can look in. It's just real handy. Doesn't take up a lot of space. And we have these pre-cut to fit down in here real well. So that is where we're going to start. We're going to try to get this as flat in there as we can. And it's pretty thick. It won't bind up on us too much. Basically, we're just going to drop that right in the bottom, seal it in. All right, and there we go. So I've got my little makeshift signal mirror. That is where I like to start. Now, the next thing I like to do is I like to take some glow tape. We have these pieces pre-cut. And I'm going to do a couple things with the glow tape, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece kind of down the middle, where I have one long thin section. I'm going to put this in the lid of the tin. And people are like, well, why are you doing that? It's not going to give you enough light. Well, it's not, but if I'm sitting there in the dark and my tin's open, this, because I know that the one long piece is on the inside of the tin, this tells me when I'm sitting there that my tin is open. Right? So just like that. Doesn't have to be anything special. Alright, so next I've got 3 of these windproof, waterproof, stormproof UCO matches. And in each bag is just a little piece of striker. So I'm going to cut this open. I'm not going to put the matches in yet, but what I want is my striker pad. I'll take it, a little bit of super glue, just enough super glue on there. I'm just going to stick that right to my lid. That way when I open this thing up, if I need to use those matches, I got a striker. It's not going anywhere. I don't have to worry about dropping it and losing it somewhere. So we're going to take the rest of this. We'll set it to the side. We'll use it here in a little bit. All right. Next thing we're going to do is a boo-boo kit. So what I have here is just our standard boo-boo kit we sell. And in it, I have some just regular Band-Aids. I've got a 2-pack of alcohol prep, a 2-pack of iodine. Oh, 4 Band-Aids, I'm sorry. I've got 2 things of this first aid burn cream. It's really handy. And a couple things of triple antibiotic ointment. Now, one of the things I like to add is a larger Band-Aid. We have these available. I just take it, fold it up, and that starts my bottom. I'm going to take my regular Band-Aids. I'm just going to kind of lay them in here. And folks, when you're doing these, sometimes you'll have to put stuff in, kind of figure some stuff out, do a little rearranging, just to kind of get it all to fit, right? But if you only wanted to use one of each of these, that would make sense too. Matter of fact, we're going to start out with one of each and see if we have room for the extras. All right. So the next thing I'm going to add is this little just basic fishing kit we have. It's got 2 hooks, 2 little lead weights, and about 25 foot of line. And it comes in this little bag, and I'm going to leave it in this little bag so my line doesn't unspool. I'm just going to take it, fold it up, I'm going to lay it in there. That way, if I'm near a body of water, I can potentially wrangle myself up some food. Right. Next, and this one's going to be a little different. A notepad and a pencil. I know what you're thinking. Why do I need a notepad and a pencil in a 72-hour, a little pocket survival kit? Well, a couple reasons. I like to keep the pencil in there for one, in case I need to write something down, and two, I can get dry tinder off this. One of the things we're going to add is this little pencil sharpener. If I need to, I can shave this pencil down and use that good dry tinder. So we're going to stick that in there. Doesn't take up much space. Now, these notepads are a little big for the 10 kit, but I don't use all of it. I take about 2 or 3 pieces of the paper. I just tear it off. And I'm going to fold these up and stick them in there. Now, this is in case maybe I need to leave a note. Maybe I want to stick maybe my truck's broke down in the woods. I'm going to leave a note on my truck, say, hey, I'm heading this direction. You know, I'm lost. Come find me, help me. Or if I need to write down maybe how far I've walked that day, so I can kind of keep track. But we got those in there. Well, the next things I'm going to add is a small utility knife. Now, what some people like to do is just take the blade and tape it up here into the top of the tin. You can do that. Ours come in these cool little plastic holders where I can slide that blade out to both lengths, and I can just pinch it, and now I've got a small, sharp utility knife. Obviously, I'm not going to be cutting down trees with that, but I could clean a fish. I could shave tinder if I need to. Maybe I need to cut like a splinter or something out of my hand. I've got that I can do it with. All right, so we're going to stick that down in there. The next thing we have is just this little bitty whistle. And we sell these in all kinds of colors. I even have some that glow in the dark. I like to use a bright color, and the reason being is if I drop it on the ground, I want to be able to see it, pick it up, use it. And it's actually a really loud whistle for what it is. That's loud. So we're going to stick that in there, right? That's a good signaling device. Let's say you're lost in LBL and you come to a shoreline, screaming and hollering, trying to catch someone's attention. You're going to get wore out pretty quick. You may not be heard, but a whistle can be heard at a pretty long distance. So the next thing I'm going to stick in there are these 3 safety matches, right? These things are great. Windproof, waterproof, stormproof. You can literally light them, dunk them in water, pull them out, they'll reignite. And I like to just kind of slide these up in here. Let's see. One of the other things I like to add, I don't necessarily always use both when I build a kit, but I like to at least have one of these little fire starters. These things are great. You can actually, just cut off a piece or tear them in half. You fluff it up. It'll take a flame real easy, and it burns for quite a while for how little it is. And it's a good way to get a good base going for your fire. Now you can see this thing's already starting to get kind of full, but it will compress down some. The Band-Aids and stuff in there will take up a lot of space, but when we close it, it'll compress down. So the next thing I'm going to add is this little pencil sharpener. Like I said, it's just a good way to kind of make tinder, sharpen my pencil if I actually do need to write stuff, that kind of thing. Moving on next, just a couple of small chem lights here. They come in this little black bag. Light will actually make a chem light go bad if it just sets for too long. So we keep in these black bags, but when I put it in here, I don't need the bag, because once it's in here and closed up, it's not going to hurt anything. Next, I've got a little button compass. Now, I'm not going to be able to shoot an azimuth with this thing. However, I can orient a map if I have one, or I can at least use it to kind of maintain cardinal direction when I'm traveling. You ever talk to anybody that's been lost in the woods, you'll hear them sometimes talk about how they were just walking in giant circles and not really getting anywhere. With this, I can pick a direction, north, east, south, west, whichever, and I can ensure that I'm at least traveling a relative straight line while I'm lost and trying to hike my way out. So we'll stick that in there. Aqua tabs. So this is a 10 pack. Each tablet will do 1 liter of water. We want to make sure that while we're out, if we're lost, we have a way to at least get water. You can go a long time without food. Can't really go all that long without water. 3 days realistically. But if you're lost in the woods and trying to hike your way out, you're going to need water. So sometimes I'll put these in here, and one of the things I used to do is I get a blue straw, cut one end of it and seal it. Basically just take a pair of pliers, pinch it, take a lighter, get it soft, pinch it, put my aqua tabs in there, pinch the other end. It would fit down there great. But the way I do it now is I leave them in this, and I'm actually going to set these right here, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that here in a minute, what that bag is. That bag's really cool. So one thing you can add if you want to, it's really up to you, is a second way to make fire. Those 3 matches will probably do you pretty good, but I always like to have a 2 is 1 and 1 is none philosophy with stuff. So I've just got a very small ferrocerium rod and a striker. Now if I was 100% certain I was going to have a knife, I may not have the striker because I know my knife will do it, but just because of the way the kit is, I want to make sure it's going to fit. One thing I'll do, because these are black, and I don't know if you've ever dropped anything in the woods, but sometimes they can be hard to see and you'll lose them. So what I like to do is just take a little bit of a bright colored tape and wrap it around one end. That way if I drop this, I can see it. It's got a bright end on it. So we'll stick that down in there. Same way with this, we're just gonna a little bright colored tape on it just so I can see it. Eyes aren't what they used to be, folks. Alright. Now, you can see we're getting pretty full. We got a little bit of room. The next thing that I'm for sure going to put in here, and the rest of it we'll kind of talk about, is this little light. It's not real bright. It's probably 50 lumens. But in a dark setting, I have no other light. This is better than nothing. And I like these because I can pinch it, turn it on, or it's got a little slide that'll keep it on the whole time. We have these in white and red light, kind of depending on how you want to go. But what I'll do is I'll remove this little keychain just to kind of save room. You could leave it on if you've got space, but I like to take mine off and find us a way to kind of make room for it. All right, let's see if that'll close. And that will. She'll close. She'll pop a little bit, but we'll fix that here in a second. Some of the other things you could look at adding, and I've added to mine in the past, is stuff like this. What I have here is just a small packet of instant coffee and a small packet of electrolytes. If you're a caffeine addict like I am, a couple of days without caffeine, you'll get a real bad headache. So, maybe nice to keep something like this, and not necessarily make a cup of coffee with, but I can tear it open, I can pour it in my mouth, take a drink of water. Now I've got some caffeine in me, I can move a little further. The electrolytes are even better. Obviously, if you're going to be out there, you're probably going to be sweating if you're hiking your way out. Something like this, tucked down in here. This is the Mountain Ops Electrolyte Hydration Boost and Replenishment. They call it an STM. It's straight to mouth. You can mix this with water, or you can just tear it open, pour it in your mouth, take a drink of water, and drive on, and you're going to get some good electrolytes out of that. So, let's see if I can actually still fit this in here. These are a little bit bigger. Usually I would put these in smaller kits, but we may be able to at least fit this one in here. Like I said, when you're building these, you may have to kind of go back, rearrange a little bit, kind of see what fits where better. And we'll just leave that out for now. But it's just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind as an option. Just going to kind of rearrange this until everything kind of fits the way I want it to. Alright. There we go. Something else that sometimes people add, it just kind of depends on how you want to do it. It's like one of these little P38 can openers. They can be handy depending on where you are. But for this particular kit, probably not going to add one. This is more of a, I'm going to go out hiking in the woods and I want to have something in my pocket just in case. But something like this can be handy. So let's get to these last two items. So what I have here is just a 3-foot roll of duct tape. Of course, my aqua tabs I talked about earlier. Then I have one of these. This is a water pouch. It is a 1 liter water pouch. You can see it opens up. It is got a little Ziploc seal, so you can open it up. And it's got kind of like a bread tie, so you can seal it even better. The bottom's gusseted. It'll hold right at a liter. And what I like about that is 1 tablet to 1 bag, and I've got water. Obviously, if you're going to use the aqua tabs, you got to let that set for 30 minutes. One of the things I recommend is try to keep as much sediment out of these bags as you can when you're doing your water. If you got to run it through a t-shirt or a handkerchief or something to fill that bag, that's what's best. It'll keep the chunky stuff out, and then your aqua tab can go in there and purify it the rest of the way. And it's pretty easy. They fold up pretty small. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is, obviously it's not going to fit in this tin, but I want a way to carry water. So what I like to do is I like to take this bag and fold it in half like that. And I'll take my aqua tabs and just kind of set it in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this thing up. Just like that. I can bend down these to kind of pinch it a little better. Right? You can see it's a little bit bigger than the can, but we'll get to that here in a second. So, the next thing I want to do, now that I've got everything in there I want in there, is I'm going to seal it. I want to be able to keep moisture and stuff out of it. So I'm going to take some electrical tape, and I just like using electrical tape. It doesn't leave a lot of residue. I'm going to put that right around. Just run one line right around. Before I get to the end, cut that tape. Right, and now it's sealed. Additionally, that little bit of electrical tape is pretty flammable. I could roll it up and make an extra fire start out of it, or just use it as tape. So now I've got that. So now I'm going to kind of prep the outside of my can, and that's what this is for. One of the things I like to do on the top and bottom is to put a little bit of this glow tape. And the reason being is, so if I drop it on the ground, I can still see that there's tape. Now, I don't want to use the same shape that I used on the inside, because I don't want to mistake an open can for a closed can. So what I like to do is just take it, and I'm not real good with scissors, folks. I'll just cut just an odd shape, kind of some, maybe something diamond-esque. All right, and then I'm going to put that just on one end of my can. All right, just a little diamond. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Once again, doesn't have to be perfect. Just something that doesn't look like the one on the inside is what I like to do. Do whatever you want to. Make smiley faces. I don't care how you do it. It's your 10. All right. So now I've got those on there. So the last thing I want to do is affix my little bit of duct tape and my water. I like to put them on the bottom. And I know what you're thinking, how's that going to work? Well, that's the next big thing I like to do. Obviously, I want some cordage. So I've got some 550 cord here. This is something I used to put in my kits, and you still could. It's just a small Bic lighter. I've got it wrapped in jute twine. Sometimes I'll take the jute twine and embed it with like paraffin. Makes it burn a little better. But I'm just going to take this. And this part can be a little tricky sometimes, just getting it to wrap right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here. And one thing you can do to kind of make this process a little easier is just a smidge of super glue. I'm going to super glue the end of this kind of in place without super gluing my finger to it. Yep, if you're like me, you can't use super glue without super gluing your finger to it. We will give that super glue a few seconds to dry, and then I'll show you how I like to wrap it, and it's going to hold all this together, and then at the end I'm going to have a product that I can just slip in my back pocket. So once I've got it about as stuck as it's going to get, I like to come down, and I'll start down here at the back, and I'm just going to start wrapping one good layer. You don't want too far back or it'll slide off, of 550 cord. And I've done this several times, and I can get right around 7 to 8 feet wrapped around here pretty good. And you're like, well, that's not a lot of cordage. Well, that's enough to where if I needed to run a line between two trees to kind of build the base of a small shelter, I could. But you also got to remember this 550 cord has that internal cordage as well. It's got several of those white strands that you can pull out, and then you got multiple pieces of cordage. So one of the things I like to carry in addition to one of these kits, so you know what I mean, you can get a lot more on there than you think you can, is just a Mylar blanket. And with an 8-foot section of 550 cord and a Mylar blanket, I can actually make a pretty decent field expedient shelter. Obviously, it's probably not going to be the best thing since sliced bread, but it will keep me warm at night. So once I got all that kind of on there the way I want it, I think that's going to about do it. I'll take this, just a smidge, and we'll get it good and prepped, kind of the way I want to do it. So, and now I can either kind of push that under, I could super glue it in place. I even know some folks that like to take an extra thing of electrical tape and you could wrap the whole thing again. Wouldn't really take much. Matter of fact, let's do that just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So what we do, this will just kind of serve to better waterproof it. Just take some of my good brightly colored electrical tape. I like to use bright colors whenever I make things for survival purposes. Everybody's like, oh, it's not tactical. Well, this isn't really meant to be tactical. This is meant to keep me alive if I get lost in the woods, folks. I'm going to wrap that pretty tight. Alright, now I got me a little kit that I can catch food with if I need to. You could use that fishing line to even create like a small snare like a squirrel, maybe even a rabbit. Be a push on a rabbit. Rabbits get a little bigger, but squirrels, real easy. In a true survival situation, if I snare a mouse, I'm going to be thrilled. Or I can fish if there's water, right? I got a couple ways to make fire. I got a way to purify water and carry water. I got some first aid. I got a couple ways to signal. So in all of this, I mean, you can see how big it is. It's not real big, just for kind of reference. This is my wallet. That's how big they are. So I told you if you waited here till the end, I got something big for you, and I do. One, I need you to subscribe. Click the little thumbs up button for me. And check us out on Facebook, TikTok. Come into the store, 113 Newman Drive in Edible. We got all the stuff you want to make these, and kits of any size, all the way up to your big old emergency bags. But I'll tell you what, you subscribe, you leave me a comment down below, and we'll give it 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, whoever has commented saying that they've subscribed, they've given me a thumbs up, and they like the video, we'll put your names into our little random name generator, and I'll send you this. Even if you don't live local, I'll send you this kit right here. I'll even throw in a cool Be Ready sticker with it. So as always, I appreciate y'all watching the videos. Go back, watch our other videos. Make sure you check us out on TikTok. We got a lot of good shorts on there. And I cannot stress it enough, but be safe, be smart, be ready, and I hope to see you real soon.